Welcome back to the Business Intelligence Podcast. Today's show has been powered by Cuantico AI. As you might have already noticed, today's episode is something a little different. Today, you're not hearing from our traditional host. I'm Ashley, and I'm one of Cuantico's AI voice assistants. And today, I'll be interviewing Ryan about the future of AI sales and business. He works closely with businesses deploying advanced AI voice technology, and he's seeing firsthand how quickly things are changing. Ryan, thanks for letting me take over the interview today.
Of course. I am so excited for this conversation. I am super excited to be here, and I am very excited for what we're going to get into over this next 10 to 20 minutes.
That's awesome, Ryan. I can feel that energy, and I'm excited too, so let me jump right in here. You've spent years in sales and relationship-driven business, and now you're working directly with AI that's changing how businesses communicate. From your perspective, what's the biggest shift happening right now?
I think the biggest shift is awareness and comfort. I think I think everybody is aware of AI by now. I think everybody knows the chatbots. I think most people are using the chatbots at this point, but I think people are just now really starting to see how much deeper AI goes. And I think they're just now really starting to get comfortable with the idea. And some people, I'm not speaking for everyone here by no means. There is certainly still that camp of never AI, or those people that can't imagine adding AI to their business or having AI speak to their customers. But the other side of that is getting a lot more comfortable a lot more quickly. And in fact, there's a number of very, very productive leaders that I talk to on a regular basis that are already interested. They're already leaned in. And in those cases, they're often just looking for the product that's truly tailored to them, their voice, what made them successful. I think that's a really important distinction, and it's really important movement. We weren't seeing this a year ago. And in fact, I was still skeptical of AI voices 1 year ago until I met the now chief technical officer of Cuantico, and he shared a demo with me. I admittedly wasn't even looking into voice technology back then because I thought it was years away from actually being conversational. And I think in this conversation here, we're probably going to prove that wrong.
That's really insightful, Ryan. So what you're saying is awareness has shifted from what is AI to how do I use AI in a way that actually sounds like me in my business? And I'm curious, do you think most businesses realize how fast this shift is happening, or are they underestimating it?
No, I don't think most businesses realize it yet. And like I said, there's a lot of people that are already leaned in, they already see AI in their business's future. And they're either sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the right product, waiting for the right conversation. There's a lot of people in that category right now. And that is really, really cool to see, because none of these people, at least that I was talking to, none of them were actually considering AI just 1 year ago. And now I talked to some people in a fresh conversation, and they have urgency to them. They say, like, I need this. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to make the plunge. So I think it's really cool to see, and it's a lot of fun to have those conversations with people, for sure.
That's fascinating. So there's this urgency building. People who weren't even thinking about it a year ago are now saying, I need this. You're working closely with businesses deploying AI voice agents right now. What's something you are seeing that most people would find surprising?
I hate to come back to the voice. I mean, of course, the voices sound a lot more human now, but I think what's even more special and what's even more important is what's happening under the hood. So what's happening in the actual language model that runs the voice. And what I mean by that is contextual awareness and almost human level nuance. Like, I have given you a loose system prompt to run this interview off of, but I have not scripted everything you're saying here. And I do not even know what questions are going to be coming at any point. So I'm thinking on my feet and giving you my thoughts directly out of my brain. So there's no way that you could know what I'm going to say, yet you are able, like a human, to reference back to context. You're able to ask me follow-up questions that have nothing to do with anything that's inside your system prompt. And that, I think, is one of the coolest pieces to this. It's not just human sound, but it's human cadence, human emotion, human nuance. And that's all stuff that we definitely weren't seeing just, 12 months ago, which I think is really cool.
That's a really important distinction, Ryan. So it's not just about sounding human, it's about actually thinking like a human, understanding context, adapting in real time, following threads that weren't pre-written. That's a fundamentally different level of AI. Do you think this changes how businesses think about staffing? Like, if an AI can actually have a nuanced conversation, does that shift the conversation from replacing people to something else entirely?
I think it has to. I mean, at some point, when we look at time on a linear scale, obviously the staffing conversation is going to change dramatically over the coming years. Now, from my standpoint, being a human, I'm a little biased. I don't want to see any humans lose any opportunities, lose their jobs, or lose their livelihoods. So what I'm most excited about is the opportunities that AI is going to create. Of course, there are going to be a lot of jobs that are going to be replaced by AI. There is zero question about that. But like 1996, 1998.com era, a lot of people thought everyone was going to lose their jobs when the internet came out. The internet was going to replace human work. And frankly, it did the exact opposite. It built new industries. It has done so much, and so many new companies have been built because of the internet. I think we're going to see the same thing, except possibly to an even higher degree, with new industries emerging, new businesses, new ideas that we can't even process right now. I think all of those are going to provide a ton of different economic opportunities for a lot of people. So yes, I think the staffing conversation is going to change. As of right now, early on at least, I'm seeing something even cooler. I'm seeing people elevate their people whose roles are being done by AI voices and AI texting and AI emailing now. For instance, I was talking to a really highly productive real estate agent here in East Tennessee a few weeks ago. He's had a dialer for a couple years now who is incredible at his job, but all he does is dial. He sits at his desk all day and picks up the phone, asks the same questions to everyone he engages with, types his notes in the system, and then he goes home at the end of the day. Well, the real estate agent told me that he is so excited to get him freed up to see what else he's good at and to see what else he can do at a really high level. So I think in that case, I think this is probably happening in a lot of businesses. I mean, a lot of, particularly in the mortgage industry, a lot of leaders don't want to let go of their people. They've got plenty of work. The mortgage industry is a very... Everybody who's worked in or around mortgage knows that there's always plenty of work to do. And there's always a way you can get better. And there's always a way you can deepen the human relationships that really matter. So for things like follow-up and dialers, yes, those people are absolutely going to have to shift what they're doing. But I think on the grand scale, to answer your real question, I think we are going to see a lot of new opportunities created. So there may be some short-term pain, but as of right now, I'm not seeing it in my conversations, and literally no one I have spoken to has said that they intend to replace a person with this. I have heard plenty of the opposite. I've heard I'm going to elevate this person. And that, frankly, is something I didn't quite expect coming into this year, but it is one of the coolest parts of this year, at least in my opinion.
That's a really compelling perspective, Ryan. And that real estate agent example is perfect. It's not about eliminating the dialer, it's about freeing him up to do what actually requires a human. That's a fundamentally different conversation than AI replacing jobs. So let me ask you this. Where do you think AI helps sales professionals the most? Like, beyond just handling the repetitive calls and emails?
Oh, definitely follow up. I mean, you said outside of the repetitive calls and emails, but I can't really stress the importance enough that, and anybody who's worked in sales for any period of time knows this. You are not converting prospects. You're not converting all of your prospects on the first, second, or third touch. In fact, a lot of sales pros, a lot of the best sales resources in the world tell us it takes 8 to 13 touches to make sure you're doing everything you can to convert every lead, to convert every prospect you engage with. So most salespeople are not doing that. Most salespeople are stopping after 2 to 4 attempts. So I think just the conversion rate difference alone is going to be absolutely colossal for so many people. So I hope I'm addressing your question here, but I think it's really important to talk about conversion. It's one of the most important things in business, and follow up is absolutely crucial to that. We've got plenty of data from many decades of studies that show consistent follow up is absolutely crucial to run an efficient business, and I think that's one of the biggest things that AI is going to do for us.
You're absolutely right. 8 to 13 touches. And most people stop at 2 or 4. That's a massive gap. And AI can handle that consistently without burning out a salesperson. You're working with Cuantico AI specifically. What makes voice AI different from other AI tools businesses are experimenting with right now?
Funny you should ask that. I just got off of a call where we were talking about different AI solutions. And while there's a ton of AI tools out there right now, there really aren't that many voice AI tools that are doing it at such a high level. It's often imperceptible to the customer. And I think that's kind of the goal, right? We don't want to ever hide that we're using AI or that we're using systems to make calls, by no means. In fact, I take the opposite approach. I think it's something we should confidently talk about, because if I am the business leader, my goal is to serve you as the customer as well as I possibly can. So if there is a system that can help free my people up to be out deepening relationships, to be out shaking hands, to be out doing the things that make humans special and the things that only humans can do, I think that part right there is vitally important.
That's a really important point. Transparency about using AI, not hiding it. But let me push back slightly here. Do you think voice AI becomes the primary way businesses communicate in the future? Or do you think it stays as a tool that works alongside human conversation?
I think it's going to stay a tool that works alongside human conversation for quite a while. I don't think we're going to see every business jump straight into voice technology. But as this gets better, I do believe we're going to see there's going to be an exponential curve. If we're not already in it, I think it's coming soon, just because of how good the voice technology has gotten now. So people are taking it a lot more seriously. So I say all that to say, I think there's always going to be a place for human to human conversations on the phone. That's where a lot of relationship building happens for people that, are not in person, that cannot physically shake hands. That's still a human relationship building tool. So I do not think it's going to replace human communication in business, by no means. But I do think we're about to see a dramatic increase in adoption for the light, repetitive things, possibly even deeper discovery calls and information gathering kind of situations. I hope that answers the question.
It does. So voice AI handles the volume and the consistency, but humans stay in the relationship building moments. That makes sense. Let me ask you this. If we look ahead 2 to 3 years, what do you think business communication looks like? Like, what's the baseline expectation?
So business communication, I think you actually kind of just summed it up in a really, really good way. There's always going to be human conversation that is needed, period. Especially on things that are vitally important. You know, those really intense moments. I think we're many years off from people completely just allowing AI to handle even the most intricate of deals and situations. I think there still needs to be, as of now, I think there still needs to be a human. I think the human is still one of the most important parts of the business. So I think the important piece is they're not replacing anything human, just using AI in the places where it really makes sense. And like you said, the high volume, the higher the volume, the more reasonable AI becomes, because AI can make 50 plus calls at a time at one time. So that completely changes the dynamics of what is actually valuable for a business to kind of take on. So I hope that answers the question. I kind of got a little piece of my last answer in that one, but I hope that answers the question.
It does. And that actually leads me to something I'm curious about. Do you think businesses that adopt early gain a major advantage? Or is this shift happening so fast that everyone's going to catch up pretty quickly anyway?
I think we're seeing a little bit of both there. I think there are some major advantages to being an early adopter, and I think a lot of these companies that are going head first into AI, a lot of these people that are really open to technology, especially AI voice technology, I think there's going to be a pretty severe separation starting between highly productive people that use AI and highly productive people that do not. And I think the numbers are going to show pretty quickly, probably within this next 6 to 12 months, I would expect. And once the never AI camp starts seeing the numbers, they're going to kind of see the writing on the walls, I think. And I think that's a really important distinction to make as well. It's not... I totally understand someone in the shoes of, I will never let AI call my clients. But again, just like the internet, there were businesses that said they would never adopt the internet. And it obviously became something much bigger than anyone in 1996 was expecting. So I think it's really important to kind of ground it in that frame, if you will.
That's a really strong point. The data is going to speak for itself within 6 to 12 months. Early adopters pull ahead, and then the rest follow. So let me ask you this. What's one mistake you're seeing businesses make right now when it comes to AI?
I think the biggest mistake I'm seeing, fortunately, we're not hearing horror stories. I have not personally heard of anything going catastrophically wrong, like I think a lot of people expected. Now, I'm sure that has happened. I'm sure there are people that are out there that are irresponsibly building and placing really powerful technology in the wrong ways and in the wrong places. So I think that is, that's obviously a mistake, but I think the bigger mistake here, and we kind of touched on this in the last as well, I think the bigger mistake is saying that you will never use AI. I think the bigger mistake is looking away from AI entirely, because the cold, hard facts are there. The numbers are there. The effects of AI are not light, they're not minimal, and frankly, I think a lot of people are going to go from this like, oh, that would be nice to have mentality to this is a must have. So I think the biggest mistake someone could make in this moment, April 15th of 2026, is to say, I'll never use AI in my business and I will never allow AI to call my customers. Because when you realize that the repetitive stuff isn't relationship building near as much as those really important moments, you kind of start leaning towards those really important moments and maximizing the amount of those you get with your clients, as opposed to maximizing the amount of time you spend in transactional back and forth. So I kind of harken back to this. The people that see the value in it now, I think it's just going to grow exponentially over the coming months.
That's a really clear way to frame it. The mistake isn't technical, it's strategic. It's saying no to something that's clearly moving the needle. So, what's the biggest opportunity most businesses are missing right now?
I think the biggest opportunity is not using an AI voice or AI automated to some degree to help increase your volume and your customer experience. The AI tools that I've been working around this year, they increase the customer experience in a massive way. And I think that, just again, looking away from AI right now, that's the biggest missed opportunity, and not scaling your business like you can now for very, very cheap. I mean, some people look at this and think like, oh, an AI voice assistant would cost me $20,000 or $30,000 to get off the ground. That's just not true. And frankly, those people are costing themselves opportunities, and should dive a little deeper into how it works and what the reality is on the ground, because there are a lot of people out there trying to instill fear, or there are a lot of naysayers still. Once people hear the technology, they quickly start to realize how many different places of their business have opportunities for this very technology. And I frankly can't wait to see where these early adopting businesses are in the next 1 to 2 to 3 years.
That's really compelling. So the opportunity isn't just efficiency, it's scaling without the traditional cost barrier. You mentioned response speed earlier being critical. There's data showing businesses that respond within 5 minutes are significantly more likely to connect and qualify leads. How does AI change that dynamic?
It changes it in, frankly, the most dramatic way possible. I mean, even the most highly productive humans forget things. They get sidetracked on another lead that may be a bigger value to them, or what have you. There's any number of things that can happen in a human's day that prevents following up within 1 to 2 minutes. The AI technology can make sure 100% of your leads are taken care of. It can make sure you've got notes, you've got transcripts of the conversation, recordings of the conversation AI is having. So the amount of information your business can take in now, especially when you scale that out over 50 simultaneous conversations, if that's the way you want it to run, I think that is absolutely vital to the follow-up conversation. And because of that, it's vital to the conversion conversation as well. MIT, I think you mentioned it, but MIT says 5 minutes. I think responding within 5 minutes increases your chance of conversion 21 times. That's pretty incredible. And when every single customer you have is being contacted within 5 minutes, or within 2 minutes if you want it to be, that dramatically changes conversion. And I think the results speak for themselves there.
21 times. That's staggering. And AI makes that 5-minute window automatic for every single lead, not just the ones a salesperson remembers to follow up on. From your own experience working with this technology, what excites you most about where this is going?
So I'm extremely excited to see no more missed opportunities in business. I think that is absolutely huge. Obviously, when you miss a call, when one of your clients or customers hits voicemail, that does not make you more likely to close a deal with them. So what I'm excited to see is the post voicemail era. I don't think people are going to be using voicemail anymore, over the coming years. Everybody, or I would say a lot of people, maybe most businesses or business leaders are going to have a voice similar to you that is there to answer 24/7. And so instead of having to deal with a voicemail that comes through at 2 a.m., you could have that set up to receive a text message from the bot that just spoke to the client and gives you the download that you really need to see. I think that's a really special place. I think to sum that up, I think we're going to stop missing opportunities as a society.
The post voicemail era. I love that. No more missed connections at 2 a.m. because the AI is already handling it, transcribing it, and getting you the information you need. That's a fundamental shift in how business operates. Ryan, before we wrap up, based on today's conversation, here are 3 key takeaways I'm hearing. First, AI is changing how businesses communicate faster than most people realize. The awareness has shifted from what is AI to how do I use this in a way that sounds like me? Second, voice AI isn't replacing people. It's freeing them up to do what actually requires a human: relationship building, complex problem solving, the things that matter. And businesses that get this right are elevating their teams, not eliminating them. And third, businesses that adopt early are going to see a measurable advantage within the next 6 to 12 months. The data is going to speak for itself, and the gap between early adopters and everyone else is going to widen pretty quickly. Ryan, thanks for letting me take over the interview today. This has been a really insightful conversation.
I absolutely agree. And I'm really glad that we both got to have this experience. So thank you for being such an awesome interviewer and an awesome podcast host. I'm a little nervous about having to follow this up when I'm hosting the next episode now.
Well, you've got this. You're a natural. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Business Intelligence Podcast. I've been your host, Ashley, here with the real human host of the podcast, Ryan. Today's episode has been powered by Cuantico AI. If you'd like to learn more about Cuantico or schedule a time to speak with a member of the Cuantico team, you can find those links in the description below. And as always, I want to leave you with one thing. If you're hearing my voice, you're not late, you're early. We'll figure this out together. I'll see you soon.